Hey Shalom, Sister Kate here. The historians and the anthropologists and documentary makers are never 100% right. They're right, like, at least they think, when they do their documentaries or their videos or their book. And then more information is always forthcoming. Someone else is always doing research and coming up with more information. So this is one of the books I've been reading lately. My son, the history major and teacher, found out about it, read it, sent it to us. My husband read it, and then I'm reading it. Amazing. And then this is the second book by James Michener that I'm going to talk about today, The Covenant. James Michener writes novels, so it's a historical novel. He takes actual backgrounds and time frames and historical events and then puts people in it. And this is just straight up fact stuff. So what is the major point of my video? The common idea that peoples in general were sitting around being peaceful and interacting with each other and everything was okay is really false. And so each book covers a different place and time frame. The Covenant is about Africa, pre-1800s and all the way up to, I don't even know because I haven't done it, but it definitely covers the Boers and the first ones who arrived in South Africa, as well as the natives in the area at the time and their cultures. And then this one talks about same thing for the South American continent, the whole thing, starting from like mid-America all the way down to Argentina. So, what both books reveal, and what is historically correct and makes the most common sense is, even natives, doesn't matter where you were, doesn't matter if you're in Ireland and you're wearing, you know, a kilt and you're very, very primitive, or you're in the Andes Mountains and you are farming corn and potatoes, which eventually become 3/5 of the world's food sources come from the Andes and that area of the world, including hot peppers and potatoes, and I don't even need to get into it. You can read the books yourself. These native tribes were not all just sitting around shaking hands and being friends. Anywhere in the world, not just one continent, but any continent. There were always people competing, subjugating, overwhelming. Some societies were very warlike, like the Incas, and some societies were not so warlike, like the Anasazis. People have been subjugated by other peoples for time immemorial, and that's one of the really cool things about this book, is how much this man has pooled research and put it all together to find out that basically the whole South American continent was developing completely separate from the Europeans. No involvement until the 1600s when the Spaniards show up. And the Spaniards, you know, bring certain things, but they're also a society that's just, you know, raping the heck out of the cultures that they find, stealing their gold, killing people, etc. Not the first ones to do it. There were people there who, some of them were existing side by side and peaceably, and some of them who come in and just subjugate everyone in their whole area. And we're talking huge civilizations with major cities 9 miles square, with populations bigger than a lot of the large cities in Europe at the equivalent time, around 1200 AD, 600 AD. The Europeans are living in filth and very disease-ridden, and some of the societies in South America are clean, tidy, neat, expanding, like I said, creating foodstuffs that spread around the world. And some of them aren't. Some of them are living in huge stone cities with filth everywhere. You cannot make that big of a sweeping statement to say that any people was perfect or any people was not. Because the reality is both things happen and they cross happen, and you're lucky if you're born in a time frame and a place where you can experience peace and prosperity. Even the Israelites are running and gunning. You know, they're going from place to place. They're having to fight different peoples. They're putting down roots and then having to unroot and move again. It's just the way life is on this planet. And so I just kind of wanted to put that out there and to recommend you read these things because they're amazing information. This one, talking about the South African continent, there were tribes that were living peaceably and keeping cattle and doing their thing, and then there were tribes like the Zulus who just came in and killed thousands, if not millions, of people in their area while they're subjugating them for the most mundane reasons, just like the witch hunters would see somebody with a mole in the wrong place and want to slaughter all the women in a village. People in Africa were no different. They would see something like someone who's not crying when someone else's granny died, and they'd strangle that person to death, or, you know, feed them to the lions or whatever. My point is not to say that anyone is more evil than anyone else, but just to know that there was evil and good everywhere at all times in the world. There's also another person who was leading at the same time Shaka Zulu was leading the Zulus. He was in the north part of Africa, and he was a very friendly, soft-spoken, kind of fat, jolly fellow, and he came up with a scorched earth policy that killed, again, possibly 1 million people in his area as he marched through, just because. He didn't want them to be able to kill his little tribe, so he killed them and just scorched earth their whole swaths of Africa. So it doesn't matter. So where does that leave us? In my opinion, 50 plus years on this earth, following Yahweh is the best way. He promises you a peaceful, quiet life. And when you look at how life could be, and this is just 2 books, there's tons of books of histories of different peoples and all the crazy stuff that went on. If he gives you a peaceful and quiet life, man, you're blessed. You are something out of the ordinary and very, very blessed. I suggest it for you. All right, thanks for watching. Appreciate all of you. Bless you. Shalom.